encouraged at that time to, I remember being this command, express yourself, and it would put fear in my boots, and it was always this, but Sarah, when are you going to express yourself? And I just didn't know what that meant, and I've never known what that meant, and it's always terrified me. And I remember, I'm going to embarrass Susan, but I remember when I left art school and ran away to live in Dorset, where I wasn't going to be told to express myself, but could just paint peacefully. And one of the first artists that I came across, and I just was like this huge drink of relief, was your work, Susan. And I remember seeing it, probably only in reproduction, and just thinking, yes, here's somebody else making work that isn't an attempt to express themselves in a way. And so I just want to say that at the beginning, that's how I came across your work. So I've admired Susan's work for, since I was a very young artist. And I think that was what I recognised in it. Does that sound fair enough?
No, but I think that's definitely what I feel about your work is, although it happens in a very different way to the way that Martin and I were talking before, because there's this long endeavour of incredibly delicate work that you do on the plate to get what you result in, but it's such a kind of devotion to what you're looking at. But I do, I think in the end there is this reliance on the dark in order to produce your work, which is very similar, and this shared idea of working with something where you need to be kind of respectful, approach it quite respectfully, or it will just go, it won't work for you. You've got to know it quite thoroughly and be quite careful, approach it in a particular state. And I would imagine you must be doing that in your work. I used to paint a bit like that myself, with a very, very careful kind of more abstract kind of approach to painting. So I can sort of recognise that in what you do. But somebody in the audience mentioned after the first talk something about luminosity. You were mentioning transparency or luminosity of work. A few comments, and I thought that was very interesting, that this light, this feeling of the subject revealing itself out with a light imagery floating in a dark void or dark space. That seems very...
And it's an interesting conversation, I think, between the three of us with work about whether one is, because there is a work element to this. I mean, we might be getting out of the way, but you're also you just said 2 weeks at least of tracking first. You've got to know where the river's going. You don't just stick it on the ground at home. And it's researching what the river's doing and when the moon is, and with the moths, obviously, if anybody knows that. So there's this sort of play between, am I drawing this thing towards me and trying to make myself absent and ready and prepared and to pull this thing towards me, or is whatever it is, the moon, the badger, the moth revealing herself, is that what? And I like that kind of little.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still don't know which it is, but it's a bit of that.
I do know that if you don't do that process, you're not successful.
Yes.
Because I've had commissions where people said, "Come and do a deer in my garden" or something. I was like, really? Then you just don't get anything. Try it over and over and over again. You need to have a process where you're asking and you're leaving it open for chance, and there's a manifestation that goes on there, and that somehow it comes. There's a little bit of magic in it.
There's a little bit of magic. So I was listening to an anthropologist talking, a South American, very eminent South American anthropologist talking, and he talked about a tribe that he works with. I'm trying to think where, and they believe that ideas are gods or like gods. I don't know if there's a simile in there or not, but basically that an idea, if you don't treat it as a god, as in you're ready to receive it, and then you behave respectfully and feed the god and look after the god, they'll bugger off. So, and when he said that, I thought, that's a bit like it. It's a little bit like it.
I mean, obviously the night shift title was meant to also honour the hard work that goes into it. I mean, it sounds like hard work, right? Night shift. Oh. transformation, what happens at night, and the transformative power of the night, and also the transformative power of the process for all of you. The strong visual connection once we hung the show was this idea of the luminous coming, light coming away from a dark ground, and of course that is something to do with process as well, isn't it? It's to do with I don't know whether everybody knows, Susan, how this print was made. So this print that I'm sitting in front of, we think is probably one of the prints that Martin assisted Susan with. What would be the date of this one?
Probably 1997.
Late 90s.
6.
We have got the date on it somewhere, haven't we?
96, 7, I think.
And perhaps you could just describe again for those who weren't at the first